Let's talk about the Trump travel ban that was announced yesterday. Today is June 5th, and it was announced last night on June 4th. I hadn't planned to go live today, but I want to make sure that our clients, our community, people who follow us know about the travel ban and have some basic information about it. So today I'm going to talk about what is the travel ban, what is the authority for the travel ban, when is it effective, who does it affect, what is it, how does it impact you, and what we can expect next. So let's start with what is the travel ban. You probably have heard of it. It is a proclamation by the Trump administration that says that they are limiting or restricting travel from certain countries. There's a list of 12 countries. I'm not going to list them because it's available all over the internet. Unfortunately, they are primarily Muslim majority countries, not all of them, but Muslim majority countries. And there's a list of additional 7 countries that have restricted travel for certain classifications. We'll talk about that in just a minute. The authority for this is a section of the immigration law, the Immigration and Nationality Act called 212, or the section is 212F, that does, in certain instances, allow the president to make a decision to restrict travel from certain countries based on national security grounds. So I'm not saying that it's okay that he has done this, but that is the legal basis on which they're alleging that this is a permissible thing to do. The travel ban becomes effective on June 9th, so 12:01 a.m. on June 9th, 2025. That's important to know because the travel ban is not immediately effective. There are only a few days right before that time, before June 9th, but I say that because it is not immediately effective. So if you are a person, or if you have a family member, friend, colleague, employee who is overseas and would be affected by the travel ban, if they enter the United States before that date, they would not be effective as long as they stay in the United States. So who does this affect? Who does it impact? As I said, there's a list of 12 countries that are impacted by the travel ban. And I'm looking at my notes here. The travel ban calls for full restriction of individuals coming from those 12 countries if the individual is coming on an immigrant visa or a non-immigrant visa. So as you may know from previous videos, or you may just know this in general, the immigrant visa is for individuals coming to enter the US as a permanent resident. So that can be employment-based or family-based, but let's say that you have you're a foreign national, you have a US citizen spouse who has petitioned for you for permanent residence, you're living overseas, you would apply for the immigrant visa at the US consulate overseas and enter the US using that immigrant visa. A non-immigrant visa is a temporary visa classification. When I say temporary, it can be valid for years, or the status can be valid for years, extended for years. But it is a temporary visa classification. For almost every letter of the alphabet, there's a different visa classification and subclassifications within those. But it's things like the H-1B, the L, the TN, the E3, the E2, the O, the P, the R. Like I said, for almost every letter, there is one. So let's talk next about the other countries that are listed. So I said that there are 12 countries where immigrants and non-immigrants, their entry is fully suspended, and we'll talk about exceptions in just a minute. There's a list of 7 additional countries where only certain types of classifications of foreign nationals are restricted from entry. That is immigrants, meaning, again, individuals entering the United States as a permanent resident, and non-immigrants, but only limited to individuals entering the US on a visitor's visa, an F, which is a student visa, an M, which is kind of a training visa, or a J, which is used to facilitate intracultural exchange. So again, only visitors visas, F1 these student visas, and certain other visas, including the M and the J visas, are restricted. Other non-immigrant visa classifications, at least as of right now, are not restricted from those additional 7 countries. So how does this impact individuals? Obviously, it's creating a lot of anxiety and stress, absolutely understandable. I would say, I can't give legal advice, of course, through this forum, but I would say if you are affected or think that you may be affected or have a family member, employee, colleague who is affected, number one, talk to an immigration attorney, whether that's me or another qualified immigration attorney, to see if you actually are impacted or if the person would be impacted and to come up with a plan. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, there are certain exceptions. So first of all, this does not impact the way that the proclamation is written. It does not impact individuals who are or only impacts individuals who are outside of the United States as of June 9th and who do not have a valid visa, whether we're talking about an immigrant visa or non-immigrant visa. So only if you're outside the United States and don't have a valid visa. The proclamation also says that no immigrant or non-immigrant visa issued before the effective date, so June 9th, will be revoked pursuant to this proclamation. So in other words, if you already have, proclamation says, we'll have to see what happens, but the proclamation says if you already have a immigrant or non-immigrant visa that's been issued, then that visa should not be revoked. So I would say if you think that you're possibly affected, talk to an immigration attorney, come up with a plan, obviously enter the United States if you can before June 9th. And also keep in mind that there are certain exceptions. So there's a whole list of exceptions in the proclamation. I'm not going to read all of those for you, but know that those exceptions are, it does not affect individuals who are already a lawful permanent resident, also known as a green card holder of the United States. If you are a dual national, so if you hold a passport from one of these affected countries and from another country that is not on this list, then you're excluded, you're not impacted, supposedly, if you're traveling on a passport issued by the other country. So if you're entering on a passport that is not on this, where the country is not on this list, then you should not be impacted. There are exceptions for certain diplomatic visas, for certain athletes, adoption, importantly, immediate family immigrant visas. I'm trying to read and talk here. So immediate relative visas. So that would be spouses of U.S. citizens, parents of adult U.S. citizens, age 21 or older, and minor children of U.S. citizens. But importantly, it says with clear and convincing evidence of identity and family relationship. That clear and convincing language is important because it distinguishes from the standard of proof. The typical standard of proof is what I'm trying to say, which is a lower standard. So now they're saying clear and convincing, you have to submit clear and convincing evidence, which is a higher standard of proof. And they give, as an example, DNA testing, which of course will delay the process. But at least there's an exception for immediate family members. And then it says that there can be exceptions where the travel by the individual would advance a critical United States national interest. We'll have to see how those exceptions actually play out, what the process is for applying for them, how they're actually being adjudicated and processed and applied. But just know that there are exceptions, even if you or a loved one or friend, colleague, employee are affected. The other thing to know is that in terms of what's next is a couple of things. One is that the proclamation says that within 90 days of the date of this proclamation and every 180 days thereafter, it basically will be reevaluated. And they will see if they need to make amendments, if they need to make any changes to this, terminate the restrictions from any particular countries. We'll have to see what happens with that going forward. The other thing that I fully anticipate is that there will be litigation around this. You probably remember that this happened in the first Trump administration. There was a similar, not identical, but similar travel ban implemented, and there was litigation. It went up to the Supreme Court, and ultimately the Supreme Court upheld it, which is not particularly encouraging. But I still fully anticipate there will be a lot of litigation around this, which may temporarily pause the implementation of this. We'll have to see. That has not happened as of right now, at least that I know of. But we'll have to see what happens there. In conclusion, know that if you are affected or think that you are affected, that I highly recommend that you speak to an immigration lawyer or, like I said, family member, friend, colleague, employee. Highly recommend you speak to an immigration lawyer, whether that is me or someone else, so that you can understand if and how you are actually affected and come up with a plan. Second, this is really stressful. I know it's creating fear and anxiety for everybody. Or for a lot of people, not everybody, but for a lot of people, even if you aren't directly impacted. I know it's just a high stress situation, high anxiety situation being a foreign national, either in the US or wanting to come to the US, and you are not alone. We are here to support you. I say we as the Sumner immigration law team and just immigration lawyers and professionals in general, we are here to support you. You do not have to go through this process alone. We're here to help you understand what's actually happening, whether you're actually impacted, and come up with a plan going forward. So I hope that you found this information helpful. I'm sorry it's not a more cheerful announcement that we have here, but it is what it is. This is where we are right now. And like I said, we're here for you. So if you found this information helpful, share this video with a friend, family member, or a colleague. I would love for you to like this video, to comment, to interact so that more people can find it. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, and we will be back when there's more information or for our next Live at Lunch, which happens every Tuesday here at noon Eastern. My name is Emily Sumner with Sumner Immigration Law. We help clients with family-based and employment-based immigration matters around the world and around the United States. If you have questions, feel free to contact us. There will be contact information available. You can email us at info@sumnerimmigration.com or go to our website to set up a consultation. And we hope to hear from you soon. Take care.